Kickoff show here for Locked On 49ers. What are the 49ers' most pressing needs? Are they on the right path? Did they veer off the wrong path in 2021, according to some listeners? And Patrick Willis, maybe a comeback attempt in 2022? All this and more coming at you right now.
You are Locked On 49ers, your daily San Francisco 49ers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On 49ers. Brian Peacock and Eric Crocker with you at BD Peacock, at Eric_Crocker. Thanks to y'all for jumping on with us live on the YouTube channel. If you're listening to your car on Wednesday morning, it's because this is a Winky Wednesday podcast. Let's bring out today's and every week's special guest.
Nick Winkler, come on down.
You can't do that to me. It's like Jerry Springer. You got me backstage and you're popping this huge news about maybe Patrick Willis. You know the one jersey I own is number 52.
Oh, I know you got that 52 jersey. Eric Crocker has not seen the tweet yet. Let's throw this one out there just because this is a nice little grenade to throw on us right before we start the podcast. Shout out to the listeners who pointed this out to me because I didn't see the tweet come through a little less than an hour ago. It looks like Patrick Willis says on Twitter, "Congrats to the Rams, the new Super Bowl champions 2022. They all pulled together and did what needed to be done, with whom were committed to the cause. I must say, it does make my heart tingle and blood flow when I think about emoji trophy, a championship is what he's trying to say." And he adds, and this is where it's interesting. It makes his heart tingle, makes his blood flow, and not talking about the past, all caps past. If he's not talking about the past, Croc, could Patrick Willis be talking about chasing a chip in the future?
Maybe he thinks that's what he needs to make the Hall of Fame because they won't let him in. So he's like, you know what? If y'all ain't gonna let me in, I'm gonna get in this thing one way or another. And he's been retired since 2000, after the 2014 season. It's been a little while, but he's somebody that was always like a workout warrior, stayed in terrific shape. I remember seeing him a couple of times around San Jose Valley Fair Mall down there by Santana Row. And man, dude was kind of rocked up. So he looks like somebody that, stays in shape. I wouldn't put it past him to be able to come back. Hell, Tim Tebow did.
I didn't work out, though.
That's probably the best comparison you want to a guy making a comeback. Yeah, and I know you've seen him recently, Wink. He looks like he's in game shape.
Yeah, I mean, he pops in every once in a while to the restaurant, and he looks ready to go. And I got a lot of people that say that, they work out at the same gym as him, and he's constantly there. Just like you said, he's a workout warrior. He's doing his thing. I think it might be more along the lines of getting back and, maybe being on the coaching staff or something like that. Because after that far away from the game, that long, I mean, you got to think that you slow quite a bit,
Let's go into the chat really quick here, because while we're talking about just Fantasyland stuff, J Walter 81 says, "What's y'all opinion of Hollywood Brown retiring to game on Twitch?"
I'm searching it right now, trying to find
this information. I don't know if there's any heavy evidence to back this up, but all I can tell you is that would be a huge mistake because he's in for huge paydays in the NFL. And correct me if I'm wrong, every athlete thinks they're going to be amazing at everything they do. I bet if he tries to become a professional gamer, he might get shown how difficult it is real quick. Like, it's one thing to be pretty good as a gamer. It's another thing to try to make your living doing something like that. We see a lot of athletes think they're going to go pro or become a rapper. And we see a lot of rappers that think they can go be a pro athlete and they try to go do some professional league. It doesn't usually turn out all that well. You got to put your life into stuff, and that includes gaming. So Hollywood Brown, I know he's related to Antonio Brown. So there's definitely something going on upstairs with that family. I would advise against it, Hollywood.
You know who is a pro gamer? Former professional receiver as well. Any
Who's
guesses?
Mm-mm.
Ocho Cinco. Chad Johnson.
Oh, I did know that.
Gamer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, that's the
professional
thing
gamer.
about being a professional gamer. You don't necessarily have to be good at the game. You just need to be entertaining. You need people to want to click on your stream, watch you play the game, and just listen to your audio commentary. So if he's got, that fun personality of somebody, for me personally, I play a lot of games. And so I like the people that giggle a lot, and just like make it fun and like, what's happening? Oh, what's going on? That sort of thing. That really entertains me. So if it's that style that he's going for, I mean, you could make a lot of money doing that. And he's the kind of guy too who gets hurt a lot, so maybe he doesn't want to get hurt anymore. And this is another way to make some money.
No, the best guy is Dr. Disrespect.
Of course.
49ers fan.
He has, and
he's
big
great.
49er fan. He was there in Dallas, but he's he has created this whole like persona. And from my understanding, he used to be a professional basketball player, like overseas or something like that. He's like extremely tall, but he was like this shy person. So he kind of created this just this character and ran with it. And now it's he's the cool guy with that persona that he puts out. So Dr. Disrespect. Yeah. Former professional athlete, basketball player.
Fellow YouTuber. I'm sure he's watching. Doctor, if you're out there, we'd love to have you on the show. Talk 49ers, because I know you are a passionate 49ers fan. Do a little collab there with Dr. Disrespect. He has probably just a few more listeners than we do here on Locked On 49ers. We're catching up. We are catching up.
Hey, real quick, I do want to shout out all the listeners, all the people on, the tuning into the YouTubes and all that stuff. But we have been, for like the third straight week, the number one listened to podcast on the network. And the 49ers aren't playing in the Super Bowl. Or they lost the NFC. And we did a couple weeks ago, had the most listens ever for a week. Amazing. Shout out to Winkler. He contributed to that. And then now, we continue to be the number one podcast on the network. Like, come on. And that's with the 49ers losing. So shout out to all the faithful that continue to listen throughout this time.
Yeah, appreciate you.
Would you rather watch a football player play a video game on Twitch, or would you rather watch a football player play football and another gamer game?
Again, it depends, right, on their personality. I mean, if they're entertaining, I could watch somebody play a video game. Sure.
I don't know. I get the vibe. There's so much ego involved, and I just get the vibe that there's a false sense of like, oh, I could go do this and be super famous doing it.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And it's like, okay, good luck. But maybe in the off season, do a few Twitch runs and maybe cash that paycheck in September, right? That's the way I'd go. That'd be my advice. But who knows? Maybe the next big superstar Twitch gamer. Is there what do you call that? Just gamer?
Yeah. Streamer.
Yeah. Because it's not about the skill of the game. It's about the
content.
It's about
you tune in to watch the person.
Yeah.
Essentially.
For example,
most of the time it's hot chicks, but
I think we would get a huge amount of listeners, viewers for the Wink versus Croc Madden matchup that I don't think either one of you guys wants to actually do. I think you're both scared
I would love to play
because you're worried about publicly getting beaten by the other guy.
I
haven't played in a while, so if he's gonna get me, I had cut Madden now. I just been too busy, and obviously I keep traveling down there every weekend. So I'm not playing as much Madden right now. So if Wink ever has a chance, it's right now.
I'm putting in 6-7 hours a day, Croc. So you better watch out. Coming for you.
Oh, geez. I don't know about this matchup. I don't think either one of you guys really want to do it. Because you know what? If you had the passion, if it was in your heart, it would have happened already.
I'm ready whenever he is. Just say when.
Yep, let's do it. Let's make it happen.
Let's talk Jimmy G trade. We've got trade offers coming in here from the listeners. I've got a question about the 49ers and the path they put themselves on last year, and if they might have missed it. And if the Rams won a Super Bowl, the 49ers have done what the Rams did to get themselves over the hump and to win that Super Bowl. That coming up and a whole lot more. Football might be over this season, but basketball, it's in full steam, both pro and college hoops. And we know how much fun the tournament is. Wink rocking the Warriors t-shirt right now. And how fun are the Warriors right now? And I'm kind of excited for James Wiseman to come back. I don't know. That's just me. You get Clay, you get James Wiseman. There's your trade deadline right there. Let's go. It's so much fun, too, being in the Bay when the Warriors were winning championships and hopefully are going to start winning championships again. It is so much fun. It's so much fun when the 49ers are deep in the playoffs, when they're going to a Super Bowl. So let's keep that thing going. And who knows, maybe even a baseball season that you can bet on at betonline.net. From the latest odds, totals, player performance props, to where the next fired coach is going to land, to, NFL draft props, which are always a lot of fun. And yes, it is officially draft season. BetOnline.net is the number one spot for all your sports betting needs. BetOnline remains the best spot for scores and news this season, not just betting. So head over to the website or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and action at BetOnline, where the game starts. All right. Let's get to this topic here. Razor, is that Razor Ramen? I like that. That's a great nickname. He says the 49ers tried to do what the Rams did. They tried to trade for Stafford, and they tried to sign OBJ. I don't know. Did they really try to do both of those things? Because it sounded like Kyle was kicking in Cabo and was like, I'm not too worried about it. And then Stafford happened, and he's like, oh, okay. If he wanted to make that happen, I feel like they could have tried a little bit harder. They didn't try all that hard. And the OBJ rumors have been out there forever. I don't know if the Niners ever really actually went down that road.
I think he drug his feet on it. Didn't he have some kind of intel? I think initially he didn't think that the trade was going to happen right then and there.
Like that night.
And I think that's where he just thought, I'm looking into it. I like the thoughts of it. Okay. Maybe try to see how the whole Jimmy thing would play out. You know what? Let's look into Matthew Stafford. Oh, what? He got traded today. What the hell? So I think that was one of those things. What? We're all in the same place. We're all in Cabo vacationing, and they got to him before I did. I think it was one of those things.
Yeah, OBJ was available when the 49ers were 3-5. Odell's been available for years. If the 49ers really wanted Odell, they could have got him when the Browns got him from New York, because he publicly wanted to come here, right? Didn't he whisper to somebody, come get me?
Yeah, and the 49ers were actually bad then. He actually said it to, I think, Jimmy, and then he talked to John Lynch and kind of alluded to that as well. This year, he was available when the 49ers were 3-5. But at that time, the 49ers were in this weird dynamic with their team. Like, are we good? Are we going to go with our rookie for the rest of the season? Oh, he's kind of banged up his knee or whatever. What's going to happen? And then they started rattling off some wins, but by then it was too late. I think if the 49ers were 5-3 as opposed to 3-5 at that time, I think they potentially would have looked into trading for Odell.
Yeah.
Scott on Twitter says, I said it in the offseason, there's one QB to dump Jimmy Garoppolo for, and it's Stafford. Y'all laughed. He won our division, barely beat us out of the playoffs, and won the Super Bowl. Would have been a much better move than selling out in the draft. What do you guys thought?
Wait. Who said who laughed? Wait, who laughed? What?
He said y'all laughed, and he is.
Who laughed at the thoughts of getting Matthew Stafford?
I'm the only one tagged in this, but I assume he's talking about the podcast. Y'all is
definitely not me.
Unless he's just, I'm the grand y'all. I'm like one grand y'all. If it's just me,
the royal we
talking
the editorial.
I don't know about laughing about Stafford. He's clearly an upgrade to Jimmy Garoppolo at quarterback, but I push back on the idea that they tried to get him because they didn't make an offer.
Right.
They didn't try. And if they thought that a deal was going to get done, you get on the phone that second and you call if it's that dire of a situation. So the 49ers weren't that interested. Maybe there was some level of interest, but they weren't making offers. That's a competitive market when a quarterback that good becomes available, right? And especially if it's your in-division rival. So I think the 49ers were in draft mode. They talked about this draft thing way back before the Stafford trade even happened. They were looking at quarterbacks. I think their mind was first on the draft even before Stafford. To Scott's point about Stafford versus what the 49ers did, yeah, they won a Super Bowl. Would the 49ers have won a Super Bowl if they got Stafford instead of Jimmy G? Maybe, because the team that beat them was the team that ended up winning.
Yeah. It's hard to argue that.
You never know how a season's going to go. Maybe they lose some games somehow. Maybe Jimmy just has that magic and they don't win as many games. But on paper, yeah, it looks like the 49ers maybe could have, which would have made it
I think the question is Matthew Stafford 2 games better than Jimmy Garoppolo?
Yes. Right? I mean, how could you argue against that? Anybody who's watched football the last 12 years knows that Matthew Stafford's a good quarterback. He's never been a great quarterback. He's never been the guy that's going to lead you to that spot with nobody around him. But you put him in a situation where he's got weapons all around him and a good system that fits what he does. We saw it. He just won a Super Bowl. Like, I think the 49ers definitely could have, won a Super Bowl with Matthew Stafford. I think 20 teams in the NFL could have won a Super Bowl with Matthew Stafford as a
Could
quarterback.
have.
I think it increased your odds. I think it increased your odds.
I think it would have for sure. But did Jimmy Garoppolo not beat Matthew Stafford twice this year?
That's a good point.
Right. So the NFL is a crazy beast, and you never know how that oblong ball is going to bounce. So you can't just say Niners would have a ring definitively right now if they went and got Stafford. But here's the thing. A Stafford move and going up to get a quarterback in the draft are two completely different things. The 49ers aren't trying to be good only in 2021. The 49ers, by going and trading for a quarterback, are trying to be good for 15 damn years, right? That's completely different. If the 49ers are good with Trey Lance for a long time, that absolutely is more valuable than what Stafford would give you for a couple of years. So those are two different conversations for sure. And by the way, if Jaquiski Tartt catches a Matthew Stafford arm punt, the 49ers are in the Super Bowl this year. Or maybe win it over Stafford. So,
but I mean,
it's not. Yeah, go ahead.
To go on that point that you just mentioned, like, how long until the Rams have to blow it all up, and start all over with no draft picks for the next few years? Like, that's it. Maybe they can do it again next year. Maybe they can run it back again, but it's like they are mortgaging their future for right now, and it paid off. I mean, most times you don't see that sort of thing pay off where you're like, oh, they really went all after it and they didn't win. So is that worth it? You talk about, it could be a 10-year, 15-year thing when you invest in the draft with a young quarterback. But if you never actually win a championship, is that worth it? It's a really tough thing to juggle because you want to win that championship, but you also want your team to be good for a long period of time and not have to go through that rebuild process, which we're going to see the Rams do here shortly.
And that's my thing. And I've been on that, even with the Rams early in the season going all in. There were a lot of people that say, hey, if the Rams don't win it all, it's a failure. And my thing is, and not to say I don't want to see the 49ers win a championship. Obviously, that's the goal. But as a fan, I just don't want to be rooting for a team and the season's over by week 8. And it's like, well, get ready for the offseason. Let me get to watching these draft picks and things like that. So if you have a quarterback that consistently has you in the conversation throughout January, I think that's a win. And again, you're still going to be wanting that Super Bowl, but at least you feel like you can potentially win it as opposed to having to rebuild all the time and really go through more of what the 49ers have had to go through over the last 20 years.
To J Run's point here in the chat, he said Jimmy's no trade and 2 first rounds for Stafford held them back. Yeah. You think Jimmy's like, oh, cool. Yeah. Trade me to the Lions. I won't exercise that no trade clause. Right.
But there was the inside deal done with the guy that came from the Rams, went over to Detroit, and then had that, whole thing set up for Goff and all that. So, I mean, there was kind of an inside job there as well. So I don't even know if the 49ers or anyone else really legitimately had a chance unless they just blew the socks off of the Detroit Lions.
Right. Yeah. So there was more than just saying, oh, yeah, we'd like to have Matthew Stafford. There's some reality into actually making a trade like that happen. And it sounds like the 49ers either weren't willing, didn't try very hard, didn't try quick enough, or it would have been more difficult for them to swing that deal because of Garoppolo and the no trade than it was for the Rams and Jared Goff. And it seemed like at the time of the trade that the Lions had hope for Goff. Like, he had some value in that trade. And I know the Rams had to do a lot, including giving up the pick that became the number 32 pick in this year's draft upcoming. They've got the last selection there. The Detroit Lions do. But Garoppolo's value after an injury-plagued season was pretty low last year. And the 49ers apparently were getting day 3 offers. Like, I think I heard the only official offer I've ever heard is like they got a 5th or 6th offered to them for Jimmy G, and the 49ers were maybe asking for a 1 if a team came calling. So that's a pretty huge discrepancy there. So I just don't think that Jimmy is part of a deal because you have to send him somewhere, right? Because
I thought it would be Teddy Bridgewater type compensation at that point. And a lot of people push back on, oh, he's way better than Teddy Bridgewater. But it's like, look at the current circumstances, all right? 1, injured a lot, and he's coming off of another injury. All right, so you can't really count on him to win. 2, and when he wins, it's like you see like an efficiency level, but there is like, just a lot of weird dynamics around it. And I thought at that point, like, whatever Teddy Bridgewater, which he didn't get traded for much. It was like a 6th-round pick or something else. I thought maybe you'd get like a 4th and a 6th for Jimmy at that time. And if you're going to give me a 4th and a 6th, then yeah, I would rather keep Jimmy Garoppolo as well. Unless you just go full Eric Crocker and just say, you know what, we're either going to keep him. We're going to trade him for a 4th and 6th, or we're going to just cut him so we can roll that money over and have, instead of whatever they have right now, add an extra $25 million to whatever they have this offseason and build a super team around your young guy, Trey Lance, and get him that first year experience to get those ups and downs. That would have been my way. But I think that the way they went about it, Kyle Shanahan, he didn't have that winning season. I think it worked out for the most part. You went to the NFC Championship game.
Right.
Trey Lance. Trey Lance will be the answer. The Jedi says you can't judge a player on just 1 to 2 games. I mean, that's been the whole thing since the 49ers put that plan into play last offseason. It's all about how good Trey Lance becomes. If Trey Lance becomes the guy, it's a much better move to get that long-term rookie than it is to get Matthew Stafford. You're not guaranteed a Super Bowl either. Would it have helped the 49ers' chances? Yes, absolutely. And I think they might have won the Super Bowl this year with Matthew Stafford. And maybe that's a lesson learned. Maybe that's something that'll juice up the 49ers. We talked about it in the first podcast after the Super Bowl. The Rams winning a Super Bowl is probably a good thing for 49ers fans. Like Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch, competitive guys, watching Sean McVay win one, watch the team that beat you in the NFC Championship game win one. They're going to be motivated. So I wouldn't put it past the Niners to maybe make a shocking big move this offseason to go along with the shocking big moves that happened last offseason.
Do they win 2 straight if they signed Brady 2 years ago? Are they back-to-back champs right now?
No,
right?
I don't think anybody was going to save that injury-plagued 2020 season. I mean, I have no idea. But Brady could have helped him this year. And look, you're probably, like, in all honesty, the one way I can see Brady coming back is a Trey Lance broken leg in training camp, right? Because all of a sudden,
why would you even say that?
Knock on wood. It's like break a leg. Let's break a leg.
Good luck in theater.
I'm just saying that's the only way Tom Brady comes back to any team in the NFL. His childhood team,
mad.
49ers. Trey Lance is unavailable, can't play all year. You have no choice, and he'll come calling. It'll be a perfect symmetry. Tom Brady, and then
hey, if anything happens to Trey Lance in training camp, y'all know who to attack. This guy Peacock.
It can't happen now. The way it would happen is if I said Trey Lance will never get injured all year long. He won't miss a single game. That's how you reverse jinx someone into getting hurt.
Okay.
It's like saying break a leg when someone goes out to perform, right? All right.
Good save.
Hawk trying to put something on me. All right, I've got another proposal from Isaiah 68 on Twitter for a Jimmy Garoppolo trade. We'll run that by you guys, get into the chat. Let's talk draft. What's the biggest need coming up in the offseason for these San Francisco 49ers next? How about Built Bars, guys? I know you love them. I know Wink loves them. I know Croc loves them. Have you tried Puffs yet? If you haven't, you're missing out on the newest Built Bar flavors. They're some of the best tasting bars. Croc approves of the Puff flavors of Built Bars. They're the first ever protein-infused marshmallow. They're fluffy, marshmallowy. Not just a protein bar. They're a treat, and they're covered in 100% real chocolate. Churro Puff, coconut marshmallow, banana cream pie, and all the standard flavors of Built Bars are available at Built.com, all low in calorie, all low in sugar, and all high in protein. So go to Built.com, use promo code LOCKED15 to get 15% off your order. If you're not sure what flavor to get a mixed box of Built Bars. Again, promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at Built.com. All right. Now you got the chat after me, Croc. Everyone thinks I did something bad there. It can't possibly happen now because I said it. That's the way it works. That's the way that type of stuff works. Okay, let's go to – I want to see your thoughts in the chat too, guys, not just Croc and Wink's thoughts about the biggest need for the 49ers, the most pressing need for the 49ers in the offseason. I'm going to go to Isaiah 68, though, who has an idea. He's looking at this draft board, and he's saying, you know what? The Philadelphia Eagles have 3 first-round picks. They got one of them because of the trade from the Dolphins. After the Dolphins went back to 12, they went up to 6, which I think was a terrible move by the Dolphins, giving up an extra first-round pick. I don't know what the hell they were thinking. They got all that value from the 49ers to go to 12. They moved all the way up from 12 to 6 to get Jalen Waddle. They would have had a really good player sitting there for them at 12, and who knows, maybe Waddle would have been there.
Well, yeah, maybe, but Waddle did have. I mean, he had a good year.
Rashawn Slater would have been there. Waddle would have been there. Devontae Smith would have been there.
No, because Smith went top 10.
I mean, I'm just saying they were guaranteed one of those guys at 12. You were guaranteed one of those top blue. That's why the 49ers chip at 12 I thought was more valuable than when they needed to trade that away, because there was 12 really, really blue chip prospects in this draft, and that's not even including Mac Jones. So there was, there was too much value there for a team trading up to get a quarterback if you wanted a quarterback yourself, or those other blue chip players at other positions. And most of them had really good rookie seasons. Actually, the top of last year's draft was really good. Croc, how much better was last year's draft than what this draft is looking like right now?
Yeah, I mean, you look at, just that linebacker in Dallas right now, man. Michael Parsons.
Yeah.
Golly.
He went 12.
Ever.
Didn't he get pick 12? He went pick 12. That's
is that what the Cowboys did? Yeah, no, not 10, because the Cowboys, I believe they were pick 11, and then they moved back a spot, didn't they, or something like that? Right.
So they were 11 and they moved back because
something like that. No.
They got a keeper though.
Because the Giants were 11 because Chicago came up to get Justin Fields at 11. So the Cowboys, I think, were at 10 and traded back with Philly.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, because Philly went up and the Giants fans were really mad. Remember the famous Giants fan? He was so mad.
Nothing good happens ever.
He was so mad. The Giants fan on YouTube was so mad because both teams in the Giants division, the Cowboys and Eagles, conspired to keep Devontae Smith away from the Giants. The Eagles went from 12 to 10 to get Devontae Smith. Then the Giants traded out because that's who they wanted, and they ended up taking the Florida wide receiver.
Kadarius Toney.
Yeah, they took him at 20 because the Bears went up to get Justin Fields at 11, and that left the Cowboys at 12. They got Micah Parsons, and then 13 was Rashawn Slater. So there was 13 blue chippers in that draft, and the 49ers were in a pretty good bargaining spot, and I thought at 12 was a really good move by Miami to go back to 12, stay in that zone of blue chippers, and they gave up a lot of value of a first-round pick to go up and get Waddle. We'll see if he proves to be the guy, but they could have had a really nice player at 12, and I thought that was an unnecessary move up for them. But the point of this is that the Eagles have 3 first-round picks now, and Isaiah 6'8 says, what about Jimmy G to the Eagles? They have 3 first-round picks. First-round pick for Jimmy plus a couple of other picks. What do you think? Do you think the Eagles would be willing to go Jimmy G? Do you think that's enough of an upgrade, or an upgrade at all, over Jalen Hurts, and then move Jalen Hurts away for another pick? Or is Isaiah just dreaming for first-round picks right now and reaching a little bit?
Did he say first-round pick and some more picks?
And something else?
That's the dreaming part.
Isaiah's greedy. I will throw that out there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Stop being greedy, Isaiah.
Didn't their GM just come in? I mean, I know he's supposed to do this, but he came in and said, like, no, Hurts is our guy. Like, he's going to be the future quarterback here. So, you're probably not going to come in, do that, and then give away a first-round draft pick for a quarterback. I mean, if you got 3 of them, if you're ever going to do it, now's the time, right?
Jalen Hurts.
So let me put this out there. Doesn't make sense at all for the Eagles. They're not going to waste a first pick to go from Hurts to Jimmy, because they're probably hoping Hurts is going to be as good or better than Jimmy eventually. And if not, they're probably packaging more than 1 first-round pick to go get a Watson, go get a Russell Wilson, try to make a bigger splash, because if you're going to move on from Hurts, you got to make sure you're really getting somebody better going over the top. So if they're trading first, maybe they trade multiple first-round picks and go get somebody else. But Jimmy to the Eagles, no go. I'm putting the kibosh on that one. I love it. The more I think about Washington, though, it makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Future first. Washington can do what the Niners did, draft a quarterback this year, but not at 11. How about Desmond Ridder in round 2? They spend their 11th pick this year in the first round on whatever stud prospect, an offensive tackle, or there's a bunch of edge rushers in this class. I think that's probably where the value is in this class. It's not so much 1, 2, 3 maybe, but around that 5 to 10 range, I think there's some pretty good prospects there. Somebody was saying, and I don't disagree, I don't know if whoever goes number 1 in this class might not have been a top 10 pick last year, period. Might not have been in that top 12, 13 guys. which is wild. But there's some depth and there's some really good players at important positions, offensive tackle, defensive end. If you are the Washington Commanders, which is really hard for me to remember to say, if you're the Commanders, you spend that first round pick this year. Niners aren't getting number 11 for Jimmy G. At most, they would be getting probably a second this year, maybe a conditional next year first. Jimmy's got to stay healthy, so that way you're not giving up a top 5 pick next year if Jimmy gets hurt all year. And so you save yourself from that. Jimmy's got to be active for 8 or 10 games or something like that, and then you get a first round pick next year, which Washington would hope is in the 20s. Washington can add a blue chip talent in this year's class at number 11, and they could even draft a quarterback. And Jimmy, we know, is good with young quarterbacks, right? Desmond Ridder at 42 in the second round for Washington. So they can develop a high upside quarterback, have Jimmy win now, and be in a pretty good position. I like that plan for Washington.
I think if Jimmy, he's going to want a new contract wherever he goes. So he's going to want a new contract, and it's like, hey, well, by the way, we do plan on drafting a guy second round. So eventually he will replace you at some point. Right. I don't think he wants to go through that again.
No, he doesn't have a choice, right?
That's the NFL.
Yeah, it's the second round pick too. He's not guaranteed to come in, and the team is telling you, we don't expect this guy to play. We just traded for you because you're going to be the starter. We're drafting this guy that we're going to develop. We can extend your contract another year or two, and maybe this guy hasn't played yet, but
at least he can handle it. He can handle it. Here's one thing about Washington Commanders that I wasn't even aware of. I was listening to Haberman and Middlecoff. They've only had one double-digit winning season since 2012, and that was obviously with RG3. I think they won 10 games, and then before that it was like 2006, and then before that it was like in the 90s or something crazy like that. Like they have not been winning. So remember the other day I was on the little Twitter Spaces thing with the Washington Commander people or whatever, and they scoffed at the idea of potentially getting Jimmy Garoppolo. It's like, who are y'all to scoff at anyone?
Yeah,
your team is crappy. Like y'all like three double-digit winning seasons since like the early 90s or something crazy like that. Like y'all would be lucky to have a guy like Jimmy Garoppolo, which would kind of steady this ship right now for them. So I think Jimmy Garoppolo to the Commanders, like Peacock was saying, I think that would be a win for them. Last playoff win, 1991. Come on, like who are you? You haven't won a playoff win since 1991. Yeah, he wasn't. That was before Gibbs went to the race car, NASCAR stuff.
Yeah,
Mark Rippon days.
Mark Rippon, there you go. Good pull. Oh man, Ernest Biner was a running back, right?
Oh yeah. Now you're going to Super Tecmo Bowl.
Still playing. I mean, come on.
That's
man.
when they had the hogs and stuff, right? Or something like, come on, man. I was 4 years old last time they won a playoff game.
Speaking of hogs, Mario says Jimmy and McGlinchey. You throw McGlinchey in there to get number 11 from Washington. What do you think? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sure.
If they pull that offer out there, I say yes. The Niners. I don't know if the Niners are in a position where they're going to give up McGlinchey or any offensive lineman this year. I think they want depth, especially if Laken Tomlinson walks the agency. Yeah. Maybe if you do get Tomlinson in, you can roll with Moore, McKivitz, Compton, let him battle it out for right tackle, and then you have some other depth there, and maybe even draft a guy too, and you could feel okay about it because the Niners got through the season all right without McGlinchey. McGlinchey's better. How much better? Is it worth getting the 11th pick? You could draft an awesome offensive tackle, probably the 11th pick too, because there's going to be some good ones in this draft. So I would say yes to that. I would probably think Washington wouldn't be that interested in it. Peekaboo says throw Kinlaw in there too. Yeah. I don't know what to think about Kinlaw. Kinlaw, I think, needs to be part of the plan, especially if DJ Jones walks this offseason. Guys, we got to talk about this. What is the biggest need? Is it just re-signing your own? Is it Tomlinson for you, Wink? Is it DJ Jones for you? Is it an outside position? Is it something the Niners need to be doing in the draft? What is the biggest thing the Niners need to do this offseason for you?
You said it. It's DJ Jones. I mean, that guy just stuffs up the middle. He is a dominant force there on the defensive line. I think he's kind of the unsung hero. You know, he kind of makes everything go around him by clogging up and taking on blockers and, just really getting after running backs too. I mean, the guy's great in stopping the run game, and he gets after the quarterback too. I mean, that would probably be number one for me. I love Tomlinson, but I think that number two wouldn't even be there. I think it'd be K1 Williams. Like, I think that their secondary is already so banged up and so, just we saw it exposed multiple times last year that I think that's going to be the primary area of concern when they go into the offseason is going to be that secondary.
I think it has to be Laken Tomlinson. Like if I had to, because you're just gonna start creating too many holes on that offensive line. You want to kind of eliminate that. So I think if there's one thing where it's like, hey, we gotta bring this guy back so we can kind of have some continuity there, I think it would be Laken Tomlinson at left guard. You're talking about somebody who he played every single snap last season.
I love him.
Every single snap. It's like you can count on him to be on the field. All right.
He's gonna be so expensive though with Mack and already with Williams. Like that's so much money wrapped up in that O-line.
But you need that. You don't want to create more holes. Like you don't want to say, all right, well, we got to find a left guard. We got to figure out this right guard position. Okay, what's going to go on with McGlinchey's torn off the bone hamstring? All right, and then Alex Mack, is he old? What's he going to be? Like there's too many question marks everywhere. So you got to have at least I know for sure my left tackle, I'm good there. And gets a little banged up, but my left tackle, he's good, great, actually, best player,
the best in the league.
And then my left guard, I'm solid there. Is he amazing? He's good, right? He's can play at a Pro Bowl level, and then I'll figure out the rest of it. But you don't want to create more holes on that offensive line.
Dr. Stephen Brule says Tomlinson is $12 million plus. Do you still sign him? And Hind says Tomlinson will get $15 million per year from the Dolphins. And I wouldn't be shocked if the Dolphins came calling. I think the 49ers need to not let Laken Tomlinson hit the open market. That's the key there. You got to find something that makes sense for both sides. Sign him in the exclusive bargaining period before free agency starts, before you can start seeing those offers roll in from other teams, because I think you have to have a number. You have to be smart if you're the 49ers. And if it goes too high, if the Dolphins and Mike McDaniel are willing to give Tomlinson $15 million a year, you got to let him walk. And you brought up Alex Mack. We don't know if he's going to come back. He might retire.
Right.
So the 49ers will need a center in that case. Maybe then do you just go, okay, well, in free agency, we have to let Tomlinson walk. Then we got to go sign, spend our money with Ryan Jensen to have a veteran center instead, and hope, Jalen Moore can play left guard, or Jay Walter asks, is Banks a bust then? Dude was took with the 49th pick. Yeah, top 50 pick. He played left guard, though, in college. So maybe the left side is his future home there.
But we didn't like him at left guard.
We didn't like him anywhere.
Right. No, that's not like in the hindsight thing. Like I came on this show right after, and we spoke about that.
And we watched him separately, Croc. We didn't share notes. We watched him separately.
We didn't share notes. We watched him separately, and we came to the same conclusion. This guy's not a fit. What are they talking about? So whether he's at right guard or left guard or whatever, I don't think it matters. I would like to see how has he progressed, because a year of trying to prepare and understand, it isn't just an offseason of understanding the things that you need to improve on. I think that's big. Getting to the NFL, not playing. You're a guy that was drafted second round. Maybe they're telling you, hey, you need to lose, a good 15, 20 pounds to be able to move the way that we want you to move and be able to play in this scheme and do the things that's asked of you. So, there could be that element of it where he comes back kind of looking like a new man. Didn't work for Garnett, but maybe they work for Banks.
I think it's Tomlinson first. You just need to solidify that offensive line. You got to make sure you don't have any traffic cones out there for you next season, because I think you do have to start worrying about some other players later. And you need some time to draft and develop some more guys. The Niners do need to look at center and tackle probably in the draft. It's one of the things I didn't like about a guard-only player in the top 50 last year either, is because you need some versatility on the offensive line. If they draft a center that can play guard this year, that makes a lot more sense. If they draft a tackle who can play guard, that makes a lot more sense than a guy who plays guard. And it's like, okay, well, he's not going to start there, and now he can't even back up center or back up tackle either. So, he's just taking up a roster spot at that point if he's not starting. This is
a deep draft for not centers. There's only
not
a few. I was on with Tony
Pauline.
Yeah, I was on with Tony Pauline. There's a few centers, but it's not a deep class. There's like 2 or 3 guys, and then that's like it. But tackle position, guard position, there's some guys that are sneak in there and be some like sleepers late in this draft where you can kind of load up on some depth, some guys that potentially be really good.
And it's
so real quick.
You go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. Let's say they do make a trade and they do end up getting that number 11 pick from Washington before free agency happens, right? I mean, is that something, then where do you think the 49ers go? Like, what do you think the 49ers do then?
Yeah, you can go with Tyler Linderbaum.
Tyler Linderbaum is the fit. He's a perfect fit for Kyle Shanahan's offense. Really mobile offensive lineman. If I made a mock draft, I'd probably put him at 29 to the Dolphins.
Then
actually,
would you let Lakin walk at that point?
I don't think it would have an impact, but he's the one first-round center that I think would really make sense and fit for the 49ers. I don't know if he'll go as high as number 11. He's not really a big, powerful guy, so I think he'll be a later in the 20s sort of pick for Tyler Linderbaum, but he's absolutely the fit. So that's kind of a sleeper for the Niners if they do get in the first round, and always defensive lineman too. If Jones walks, and there's a lot of edge players in this draft, so that would be a position to look out for too if the Niners somehow did end up in the first round. Croc and I go into the same place again. Linderbaum. That was the name I was going to bring up for the Niners. It fits. I think it is Tomlinson first, DJ Jones second. I might put Arden Key in there first. I'm not sure who I would sign in the secondary first. Croc.
Ebicam? Was that a 1 year or 2 year?
He was on a 2-year deal. I was actually thinking halfway through the year that he wouldn't see the second year of his contract, but he played better down the stretch. So I think he'll see it, and I think the 49ers want that edge depth, even if they bring back Arden Key.
See, Jay Walter, he says, I hate drafting inside offensive linemen high. And I agree. Like, that wouldn't be the thing I want to do. You want to go with more of a, not to say that it's not an impact position there, but just more someone who can potentially make some plays there. Like maybe an edge rusher. I mean, we talk about edge rusher, maybe bring back Arden Key. But if you have pick 11, I mean, was it Josiah Johnson out of Florida State? Killed the Senior Bowl. I can't think of the first name right now.
And he played guard and center, right?
No. He was the edge rusher out of Florida State.
Oh, Jermaine Johnson. I thought you were talking about
Johnson. There we go. You're talking about no. So there's you're talking about Zion Johnson, but there's Kenyon Green out of Texas A&M, right guard, Mississippi State. Kenyon Green, Mississippi State. I get those schools confused, but he can play guard, tackle, center, but he profiles more as a guard. He's someone that can move well in space. Definitely has some power to him. He's a guy I think he would be tremendous. I mean, you could play him at tackle, but he's just not long enough. So he's definitely going to play more guard. So that's a guy, and I think he's going to go before pick 20.
The Jedi says Jalen Moore should be better. I agree. I liked what I saw from him. He could potentially be a starter at left guard. Maybe there's your replacement for Laken Tomlinson. His versatility is going to be key to be able to back up. Maybe the swing tackle next year is a pretty important position. And I don't think they can pay both Mike McGlinchey and Trent Williams beyond this coming season in 2022. So they've got to look to a future starting offensive tackle. Is that Moore? Is that somebody else they're going to draft? Is that a future free agent in 2023 when the cap goes up? I don't know, but they got to start thinking about that seriously, and center long-term as well. This is another thought, and we talked about this a little bit before, Croc. Cody says, because they probably want to add more power to the run scheme to their system. That was the thing that jumped out to me originally. Neither one of their top 3 picks played much last year, but with all the QB power we saw from Trey Lance, are the 49ers going to change things up? Do they want more beef up front? Did they not care that Aaron Banks wasn't a great mover? They drafted Sermon too, which we thought was a little bit of a head scratcher to be moving up for him with his style of running, even though he did a lot of zone running in college, as almost every college team does. It doesn't mean you're going to be great fit for it in the pros. Are they trying to go a little bit more power-based in the future? Is that what that draft last year was about? It was more about 2022 than 2021, a little scheme tweak with Trey Lance?
I think that's what we were thinking initially, but just watching how they kind of wanted, like the fact that they did not use Trey Lance as a package type thing, let me know. I think that's not the way they want to develop him. I think they did some of those things because, okay, we're right now where he's at in his development, where he's at with the playbook. We have to kind of throw some of those things in there to get by right now. But if I had to guess, they want to use him more like Cowboys use Dak Prescott. Like you ain't seeing him doing a whole lot of quarterback power type stuff, right? If at all. They're not really running him like that. I don't think the 49ers want to have to utilize him that way. I think they'll throw wrinkles in there, but I don't think it's like, hey, we want to go more power and we're just going to run a ton of quarterback dives with our young quarterback. Again, I think they did some of it to get by with where he was at with his development. I don't think that's the plan for him. I think they just
it'll be closer.
I think they screwed it up with Banks in the sense what they told us, right? Like they told us, oh yeah, he's bigger, but no, he moves extremely well and this and that and the other. We didn't see that.
We didn't see him much at all, though. I mean, in the NFL too.
College film, though.
Oh, his tape, yeah.
Right after the draft, me and Croc both separately looked at the tape of Banks and we said, what the hell? No.
And people were telling me, oh, no, he's a great athlete. Like, he's this and that. And I'm like, that's not what I'm seeing. I'm seeing a guy who's tripping over himself, falling on the ground, trying to pull. He's never getting there to guys. If he has to pull and get to a guy, he really struggled to get there at the line of scrimmage. If you gave him any type of quickness, he didn't really know how to react. So he'd grab you. I think in pass protection, he was solid because he was a big wall. But when they started running stunts at him, it was like just whatever they said about the athleticism, like that was not on film.
And I know he had good grades in zone scheme because they played a lot of zone, and he kind of got in the way. He blocked okay, but you could see the things when he was asked to do the things that Kyle was going to ask him to do in the 49ers offense, getting out and blocking on the second level, those reach blocks. Those things he wasn't really good at, but he was good at walling off players that weren't as big and strong as him in college. And I didn't see it playing with the 49ers offense. And to a degree, Sermon the same way. You did a lot of wide zone, a lot of zone running in college, and it's just like it didn't translate. Like
right,
Scout Crocky and Scout Peacock did not see it. And so we'll see if maybe the 49ers were right in this in the end, and those guys will come back and play a lot better for this year. But those were a couple of head scratchers for sure.
I see a comment says, did they talk themselves into drafting Banks out of need to find the right guard?
Probably.
And this is my thing. Maybe they did, right? But that's my thing that I try to tell fans. Like, just because you have a need, you don't have to draft a guy right then and there. Like, take whoever's highest on your board. It doesn't, like, everybody, no, you can't draft a receiver at 61. You got to go corner, or you got to go like, no, the hell you don't. Take the best guy, because you don't want to reach for somebody just because, oh, I got to draft this position, so let me draft this guy, and then all of a sudden he just doesn't see the field at all. Oh, we got to go running back or whatever they were thinking to trade up for Trey Sermon. You didn't want to play him at all. So no, don't go for need at a certain spot just because you think you can do that. You can get production from guys throughout the draft. It doesn't have to just be at 61. It could be 61. It could be 75. Wherever they're picking, you can find a guy that can be very productive and potentially start. You just got to get the right guy. And I wouldn't go and reach. If that's what they did for right guard, well, we want to get better there. We want to get better in pro school. So we're going to draft this guy. We're going to talk ourselves into wanting him. Like that. That's an issue. Go draft somebody else that you're going to play that's good, for regardless of being a guard. Like,
I'm all about drafting those good players.
That's draft 101, and that's what I would say about the 49ers, whether they're picking at 61 this year or whether they get into the first round somehow this year with the draft pick. It's not about position. Draft the best player. If there's an all-pro at a certain position and he's the highest guy on your board, don't go drafting for need. And you shouldn't be going, if you're a good football team and you have aspirations of the Super Bowl, you probably shouldn't be going into the draft trying to draft for need anyway. You should be drafting for best player available ideally, and you should be focusing on those needs in free agency so you don't have to be forced into a bad pick on draft day.
The Dallas Cowboys had a horrendous defense and had holes all over their defense in the 2020 draft. And goddamn CeeDee Lamb fell to them. And they're like, forget this defense. We'll use the rest of these picks on defense, right? Defense was a big need. They needed help with the defensive line. They needed help in the secondary. They don't have safeties at all. Like, they needed help all over the defense. But what they do, they said, nah, man, we're going with CeeDee Lamb, and we'll address the defense the rest of the draft. Every other pick was defense. And
haven't they just traded for Cooper too?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They were coming off. They had 2,000-yard receivers and an 800-yard receiver that did walk, but they currently had 2,000-yard receivers on the right. Like, Gallup had a terrific year. Amari Cooper, he did his thing. You have running back. Like, I felt like the last thing they needed was a receiver at least that high, and it didn't matter. And I don't think anybody cares that they took CeeDee Lamb right now, right? It's like, nah, he's hella good.
That's fantastic stuff. We got to get rolling here, guys. Thanks to everybody who's jumped into the chat with us and jumped on and followed us live tonight on the YouTube live stream. If you didn't catch us live, you got to check us out on YouTube. By the way, hit that subscribe button. Appreciate you making us your first listen. If this is a true Winky Wednesday for you, and maybe you're driving to work in your car listening to Locked On 49ers, really excited for this off-season, Croc. I saw a lot of questions about DBs. I think we need to make a show of the defensive backs and maybe look at free agents, look at the trade market a little bit. I saw names like J.C. Jackson and Stephon Gilmore and and CJ Henderson out there. And we got to talk about some more about the 49ers own free agents. Wink really wants to see K'Wan Williams back. Tart. I think it's a really important position for the 49ers this offseason. In-house? Do they just let guys graduate into starting positions in-house at strong safety and some other spots, nickel? Or do the 49ers go spend some money? Do they make a big splash? Is it trade season for the 49ers in the defensive backfield? I think we need to get to that stuff on a future program. By the way, thanks for making us your first listen. For your second listen, don't forget to check out Crocker talking NFL Draft every day on Locked On NFL Draft. I'm talking about the entire NFL. Lots of offseason talk going on there, including draft and free agency on the Peacock and Williamson NFL show. And I know one position, guys, that is not a need at all for the 49ers this offseason, and that is linebacker, because Patrick Willis is coming back, baby. They put that 52 for him, too. It's open. Let's go, P. Willie.
P. Willie.
We'll talk to you next time right here, Locked On 49ers.